Hello, everyone.
Right.
Thank you so much for tuning in. Bike Chat 101, Thursdays, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. My name is Jonah Pasquale. I am all about cycling and everything cycling related. And with me is Gunnar Soros, aka Anello Grande, cyclist, craft beer lover, and extraordinaire. Folks, you guys are in for a great treat. But before we do anything, tell a bird, share it with your friends. Definitely give the folks from DaHÄNGER a follow. They are on a plethora of social media platforms, so many to name. But let's get right to it. We have Jorgen Benecke of DaHÄNGER. Jorgen is a former UCI World Cup Olympic champion. His claim to fame is a gold medal in the 1993 UCI World Cup, also silver medalist in both the 1994 as well as the 1997 UCI World Cup. He owns over 20 bikes, if you can believe that. Furniture maker, New York City abode liver. And without further ado, Jorgen, it's such a pleasure to have you on Bike Chat. Thank you so much for joining us.
Oh,
Yes,
thanks
and
so much.
Jurgen, let me just
Thanks so
say
much.
I'm a huge fan, huge fan. I mean, you've always been on my radar since the '90s, so huge. I'm like bowing down at your
No,
feet.
stop it. You know, I only cook with water too, so there's no difference over here.
Nice.
Same, same person, same, two right arms. No, wait, two arms,
Yeah.
two legs, same
Right,
thing.
right, exactly.
Yeah.
So Jurgen, again, great to see you. Obviously, folks, just a little back history. Jurgen and I, we know each other from Mountain Creek. I do recall when we were running some mountain bike races down there. It's great to see him. I was saying earlier before we hit record, the guy pedals like he's on fire or he's either riding away from the cops. But let's get to it. So give him a follow. It's DaHÄNGER.co. Great company, great startup story. Jurgen, I mean, just, like I said, love the stuff. It's a great idea. Can't wait to get one for my house or all over the place for the man cave. But tell us the story.
Well, the story, I mean, it's a long story. I guess it's basically all kind of coming together now. I mean, it's the love of cycling, the love of creating stuff, the love of building small space design. And it all kind of, found its way into this product, and then, I made it a long time ago for myself, but I made it in a way that was so complicated that I didn't even want to replicate it because it was such a pain in the butt.
Right.
Because
right,
I mean, you make one item, right? You make one thing. You don't care how long it takes because you want to make it look nice. So, I made this it's like a layer cake of plywood, sheet, the glued, sanded, shaped it. It was like a sculpture at that point. I looked at it. My wife, she's like, she loved it. Everybody loved it. And I'm like, yeah, this is great. But just, I don't want to do this again. It's crazy. So I put it away. I didn't really think about it much because you'd have to charge like, $800, $900 for one, and I would still starve at that point. I was like, I can't produce this product. Doesn't work that way. So put it away. Didn't think about it for a while, but kept looking at it. And so before I was a professional cyclist, actually, I actually learned a trade in Germany. Was a tool and die maker for like a plastics company. Actually, we did the big bumpers for Audi and VW. We actually had huge tools, huge machines. So I knew that side, and I don't know what clicked, but all of a sudden I was like, wait a second, maybe we can make this out of plastic. I mean, recycle material, this and that. I have to actually get my power cord while we're talking, so don't never mind me. So I started researching if this would be, if we could make a tool for this, you know what I mean, and get this manufactured. And it wasn't. I mean, there was some doubts on this because it wasn't an easy product. There's a lot of undercuts and it's very large, especially for injection molding. I mean, it was basically just if you just use the surface and really thin wall, it's still like almost 10 pounds of plastic. So that eliminates about 75-80% of the injection molders in this area or in this country because they don't even have machines that big. So we ran into a bunch of problems. So what happened is I made a couple more. I was like, I want to make a couple more. I'm going to show them around, and we're going to do Kickstarter. Because before I, leave myself out there and invest, huge amounts of, dollars into a tooling, I want to see if anybody even wants this,
Mhm.
So this is what Kickstarter was great for. It was just for us to get feedback. People, people like it, and the Kickstarter community has been great. I mean, I was part of the Kickstarter community before that already. Like I've bought stuff on Kickstarter and I've followed other projects. So I was kind of aware of how it worked. I didn't think that I would ever do one, that wasn't really what I was, that wasn't the plan necessarily when I joined the Kickstarter community.
Nice.
But when it all kind of came together, I was like, I should do that with that and see, what people think. And people liked it, and so we went for, full ahead and hired a manufacturer that said they could do it, and home below they couldn't, So we've been having a really, if you've watched the video, I don't know if you guys watched the Kickstarter video.
I didn't catch the video actually.
Okay, well, we were actually originally called Shelfie too. I don't know if anybody caught that one.
Yeah.
Well, that was, so if I had to make a list of things that could go wrong, or not go wrong, but hurdles that you could have when launching a product, I think I hit them all. Like we literally hit them all. Yeah, I would be like, I had filed for a trademark, intent to use. I did my research. We actually searched the trademark. There was nobody using Shelfie, so it's like great. We went and we filed the paperwork with intent of use with a trademark and a patent and trademark office. We did all the right things, and all of a sudden there was this company out of Michigan that really loved it too, apparently, and they're just filed in opposition because they can afford to do it, and they're it's just money is has a lot of power, and so you got to be nimble and got to be able to turn it a dime. And the good thing was, again, I turned back to my Kickstarter community and I told them what was happening about the name, and they literally told me that we don't give a hoot what you call it. We love the product. We love you. Call it something else.
Awesome.
So I asked them for a couple of help me find a name. Feedback. So it's kind of like almost like a crowd named product.
Yeah.
Not only like so it was kind of it was very upsetting for me because you create something, you give it a name, you baby it, you're just trying to like build it, and all of a sudden, oh no, somebody else says we have the claim to this name, even so it's bogus. They had no leg to stand on, but to fight them, you have to go through the court system. You have to pay lawyers. You have to do the legal battle, which I was not willing to do at that point. Not about the name this early in the game.
Mm-hmm.
So I went to the local bike shop in Woodstock here, Overlook Bikes, and I talked to the owner, Billy, and I just poured out my heart, and I was like, we got to come up with better names. And he's like, you have to have an umlaut. You have to German it up. So hence we have an umlaut there. That was all Billy, basically. He was like, okay, I have to put an umlaut in. Awesome. Got it. So, everybody loves the name. We're really actually happier now, and then the trademark's all buttoned up now, and it's trademarked Europe, Canada, US, and a couple other countries too. So we're good with that.
Awesome.
So Kickstarter went great. We have over 550 backers. We raised more than the goal. So I dove right into, I had some manufacturers lined up that were like, yeah, we want to do it. But, some of them were like, yeah, we want to do it. And then they looked at the drawings like, oh, this is really big. I was like, oh, geez, did you not look at this? I was like, how could you say you want to do it? And then you're like, oh, this is really big. I was like, fine. So we found numerous companies that had the equipment to do it, like one in Chicago, one in Long Island. So we had a couple of choices, and I guess the biggest. Well, I I didn't go with my gut. I went with recommendation. Like there were 2 companies, and I should have went with my gut. I went with recommendation because, you know, you trust people that are supposed to know a little bit more than you. So those guys ended up designing, engineering everything for us, and had a really hard time. They broke the mold 4 times, and it's basically been an R&D. It's a marathon basically trying to get this done. They kind of bailed on us at a certain point where they kind of stopped believing, like they stopped believing themselves, I think. So we were looking at other manufacturing procedures. Like instead of doing the injection mold, we went to rotational molding. Basically, I know everything about molding now, you know, that more than I ever wanted to. I mean, I already was in that field before cycling, but now I'm really back into it. So we went to a different process. We went to rotational molding, and we already had a molder in that process, and they're from Pennsylvania, that was ready to take this on. And as soon as we cut our ties with the other guys, we went to the rotational molder, and they sent me actually 3 pictures of the 3 colors coming out of the mold. That looks good. We're going to get foam filling. We're going to make solid parts actually. So to get structural integrity, it's kind of like you got to think of it like a surfboard, so it's like the outside shell and then a foam core, more or less.
Right.
I am supposed to get this first article, which once I sign off on that article, it goes into production. Nice. They said I should get one this week, so tomorrow's Friday, so maybe it'll be Monday, but nice. We're so close now, and I can't wait.
That's great. It's exciting. Good.
Yeah.
Good
no, it's great.
Good to finally see it come to that point, I would imagine. That's amazing.
Yeah, and this is the one thing, and this is why it's hard for me, but it's also not that hard because I really like it. It's like I mean the one advice to anybody who wants to start anything is you better love this, what you're doing, because you're going to have tough times. It's going to go poo-poo on you, and you're going to sit there, and you better look at it and you're like, yeah, I still love this thing. It's great. You know what I mean? Because that's the only thing that's going to get you through this, is just looking at it and using it. Like if you're a user, if you use your own product and you like it, then it's easy. That's it. That's
awesome. Well, hey, one quick note, on your site, I noticed that you guys are going to be involved with a couple major events in the Metro New York area, and those folks tuning in right now. This is BikeChat. Thank you for joining us every Thursday, 9 p.m. with Jonah DiPasquale and Gunnar Soros. We are featuring Jürgen Benecke of DaHÄNGER. Check them out at dahanger.co. They're on a plethora of other social media sites. Jürgen Benecke was telling us the story here. We're zoning in on a couple events where you can find them coming up in 2016. Jürgen, you guys looks like you're involved with the Grand Fondo in New York City.
Yes.
And also the Red Hook Crit. Can you tell us a little bit about those events?
Yes. So I basically, this year was my first year after 5 years of not racing to get a license again. I had kind of a forced break from racing because I broke my back 5 years ago at an enduro event in France at the Mega Avalanche. So why is this not charging? Help.
Nice.
I know, I'm like dying here. It's like total technical malfunctions here.
It's all good.
I went through 2 years of very painful, like crushing pain sensation. I broke T6, T7, so right where the sternum is, so I was able to ride a little bit, but I wasn't able to race.
Right.
And so as soon as I started, and then actually a friend of mine, Uli, who's the organizer of the Grand Fondo, he invited me because he launched about that time ago, just that year when I broke my back. He invited me to the first Grand Fondo. I was like, no, dude, I'm broken. I can't do this. This is really sucks. So I always wanted to do them, And so it was always on my radar, but it was like, it's not something you just like, get off the couch and do it. It's 100 miles. It's got like, it's like almost 10,000 feet of climbing. It's really hard. I mean, it's a hard one.
Yeah.
So I was so excited that, this year that I was able to, get in shape, get a license again, start racing a little bit, have a good time, and just be part of the whole cycling racing community, I mean, that's what I missed the most, I mean, I think two things happened while I was hurt and couldn't race is that I realized that I didn't even care when I race again, how well I'm going to do, because I really don't give a rat's ass.
Yeah.
If I get last, and people are like, oh, I beat Jorgen Benneke, it's like, that's good for you.
Right.
I mean, honestly, I don't really care because I'm just happy to be out there, because I really got so close to not even be able to walk or ride at all that I'm just happy that, I can be part of this. So it's cool.
Right. It puts some perspective back into it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
And then the Red Hook Cred, that was just something that I wanted to come back. And I wanted to come back to cycling, but I wanted to pick an event where nobody really cares about how well I do.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, fixed gear, cred, great.
Yeah.
There's no history on how I've ever done in this. So I can't compare myself to anything because I've never done it.
Right.
So I'm like, great. So whatever I'll do, it'll be like, I've never done this great before. This is like the best I've ever done.
That's awesome.
Because I've never done it.
Right.
So, and the organizer, David Trimble, that whole racing scene reminds me so much of the early mountain bike scene. I mean, it's not UCI sanctioned. It's not USA Cycling.
Right.
It's kind of like a rebellious. They make up the rules as they kind of go, but they're thinking about them. But they make them. They're really smart about it. They're really, which I think is good. They don't listen to the riders all that much, which is great, because you can't listen to the riders. You have to make the event that it's a good event to watch and it's fun, and then people come. And I mean, you want the racers to have fun, but they're not necessarily always the best to give you advice.
Sure. Yeah, and
because that's what happened. I think that's what happened with downhill a little bit, because everybody, when you ask people, the courses got more and more difficult, and everybody's like, yeah, I love the tough deck, Nevigal and all these difficult courses. Everybody loved them, even so most people actually couldn't ride that stuff. They were just, crashing out everywhere, but nobody wanted to admit that it was too tough, it was too hard, sometimes,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's for the equipment we had at that point.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like it's like a machismo kind of a thing, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
That you don't want to show weakness, because that's, everybody's listening, more or less. Yeah. I mean, the Red Hook Cred, if you haven't checked them out, if you ever, especially the one in Brooklyn.
Right.
I mean, he made a whole series out of this. We actually did 2 of them last year. We did the Red Hook Cred in Brooklyn, and then we did the Red Hook Cred in London. Those 2. I wanted to do more, but my Visa card stopped working, so I didn't go.
Well, that's a great point, and you're gonna. I think that it's interesting. Both Gunnar and I can really attest to that. Is that I'm seeing that with the announcing in MC World. Obviously, every year I've been to the World Cup at Wyndham. It's a completely different ball game. Versus kind of like the small local races and whatnot, or the East Coast downhill series. But it's funny the point that you're making about the divide between UCI, USA Cycling, and just the I don't really want to say the mom and pop put together event, but I think that in this day and age, people's time is such an amazingly valuable commodity. And when they're putting their bikes on their car, they're making the reservations, they're traveling or wherever they're going. I mean, they do it, to your point about the love. They do it because of the passion. But let's face it, they just don't want to deal with bullshit. And
No.
I love the point that you make about, you know, the courses being too hard. I agree with you.
Oh, nobody wanted to admit it. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Nobody was like, nobody had the balls to say this is just too hard.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because you'd be, you know, they'd be like, oh, you pussy, blah, 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 whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know what,
It's
like PG, not a PG. I don't know. It's like, am I saying this politically incorrect right now? But, you know, it's kind of, that was a tough scene, you know, to like say that, like, yeah, this is, I don't like it. It's too hard. It's too steep. It's stupid. But, you know, for me, I felt like, because I started racing in 92, the first World Cups. And when we were racing 92, 93, 94, like in Austria, Kaprun, we had, back then it was kind of like the Red Hook Crit. You could actually, in 93, I think it was still, 92, you could show up at the World Cup in Austria without a license, purchase a day license, and try to qualify the day before, right?
Yeah.
So that meant there were about, I think, 500-600 guys just hurling themselves down the hill trying to qualify for the World Cup, right? Yeah, that's not what you want necessarily anymore, but what that brought was people could associate themselves with what we were doing at a much faster rate.
Right.
Yeah.
It's kind of like downhill skiing. Anybody can downhill ski down, like you can ski down a downhill course. Right? You're not going to go straight. You're going to do, I'm going to make some turns. I'm going to slow down. This is crazy, right?
Yeah.
But you're capable of skiing down a downhill course, right? The average mountain biker cannot ride a downhill course at all.
Right, nowadays.
So now you basically are sidelined as a spectator and look at it and you're like, oh, this looks nuts. I can't even think what this would be like. And I think you lose a little bit of interest. You lose a little bit of the broad interest because people can't associate themselves with what we're doing or what they are doing because it's so extreme and so over the top that it becomes more of a freak show than a serious athletic event that has any kind of potential of, you know, building tradition and building, you know, I think they needed to. The thing is, you know, you make the easiest course in the world. It's still only one guy is going to win.
Right. The fastest guy is going to win. Yeah.
It's pretty easy. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And it still might be exciting to watch. You know what I mean?
Right.
But, you know, that's old school. That's like old school thinking. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's what I am.
Well,
you'd mentioned enduros, and one of the other points also kind of segueing from that is that it seems like, you know, not only more venues are figuring that out, but also just the, you know, the popularity of those events popping up from east to west coast, and the big thing too is you know, the record numbers and the attendance that's coming out. And I think that parallels exactly with what you just said, going back to 92, 93, 94, and I can remember the first year at Mountain Creek when they rolled it out, they were blown away with how many people showed up, and the irony is some of the top pros were excited about it because they're like, this is great. You mean I actually can have fun and go elbow with my buds and not worry about killing myself? You know, I think it's a great.
That's right. Yeah. No. Exactly. Yeah. No. And when you go to now, it's not Mountain Creek anymore, right? It's different. It's still Mountain Creek, right?
Yep.
They still call it that. When you go there now, I actually went there 3 times this year just to kind of, you know, cruise around. You know what's everybody doing? Everybody's doing the easiest trail, the little jumps and kickers and little berms, the easiest trail. What did I do all day? I did the easiest trail because I just want to have fun. You know what I mean? Yeah. So just for that reason, you know, I feel like the courses went a little overboard, and I think they lost touch with the general population.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, nevertheless, I'm impressed, you know, by what they do and all the stuff. You know, I mean, I get it. I understand. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
and enduros in my eyes are super. I mean, the courses are not that easy either, but I think it's really dangerous because it's the length now. Now you're dealing with how long you're riding on the edge.
Right.
On like, because those guys are climbing up the mountains, they're bombing down the hills. They're doing it again. They're doing hours at a day, on the limit, and they're wearing less gear too. They're like on Lycra. You know what I mean? So you got like you're hauling down the hill in a bathing suit.
Right.
I mean, Jesus Christ, you know what I mean? So, you know, when people are like, "I'm going to retire from downhill, I'm going to do endurance," I was like, "Yeah, it's more dangerous in my eyes." You know what I mean? Chances of screwing yourself, you know, messing up, or just you have much more chance, much more, you know, because you're that much longer at the limit, you know. That's interesting. Well, it's all fun. I love all of it. You know what I mean?
No, yeah. Well, and I was gonna just kind of side note to what you're saying. So, you know, enduro's getting really big, cyclocross is getting really big, and here in the Midwest, the gravel cycling scene has just exploded. And I think that the common denominator to me seems to be that the ease of entry for most people to try it out is very low, and then they kind of focus a little bit more on the fun aspect of it. I mean, the gravel races that we have around here, I mean, you know, 500 people show up and it's just like a big group ride, and you'll always find somebody to ride with, and you can, you know, even if you slow down, you can talk to them and whatnot. And then, hey, if you want to hammer for a little while, you can hammer and go at it. And same with like the enduros, you know, you find people that you're climbing with that, you know, maybe we're not the best climbers, but we'll climb at the same pace because that part's not time. So we'll you know, we can just hang and do that. So the whole UCI USA cycling part of things, I think, is taking a big hit because it's so corporate, and like you said, especially like downhill and even some cross country courses are just they're super difficult. And like you said, the riders are saying, "Oh yeah, give us the hardest course there is." You know, there's some cross country courses where sections of it are basically like some of the pro downhill courses. Yeah. And I know for me as a rider, I mean, I like a challenge, and I think that's the other thing is people want to be challenged. Yeah. But they don't want to be so challenged that, you know, you're gonna, you know, break your arm and not be able to work next week, or
you
know,
you got to show up on Monday and work. Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, now, I mean, that the whole. Oh, is the audio kind of weird again?
No, you're good.
It's good.
You're good.
Okay.
Yeah, you're right.
The point of entry is, I think it's too hard too. It's like the investment on bikes. You know how much you have to spend on a downhill bike these days.
Oh,
you know what
holy
I mean?
Cow! Yeah, jeez,
a
huge amount.
Jesus Christ! So, you know, you look at the field. Like, how many racers are at the races now, and that number has not gone up.
No,
you know, that's
not at all.
You know, maybe it's down. I don't know. I'm not really sure, but it's definitely not up.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so you're not going to have more racers. You know, because the you know the affordability factor is just not there. You know, it's just really expensive. And then you throw an enduro, that's a whole nother bike again, because you can't use your downhill bike to do endurance. You can't show up with the cross country bike, so you need another bike. So that's again another barrier, I think. And the gravel grinders, you know, they're great. I mean, think about it. You can have your cyclocross bike, or you can ride your road bike. And then if you fit a little, you know, fatter tire in it, and you're ready to go. You know, poop, done. You know, love it. You know, I mean, I mean, if you think about it, I don't know any other sport that has so many different events and possibilities, right? Like, I mean, like, and I've tried to do as much as I can. So I've raced track, cyclocross, road, BMX, downhill enduro, whatever. I've tried them all, and I've liked all of them in a weird way. You know, they all have something. You know, and that's all I can. I mean, if anybody has a chance to try other cycling events, if you're a cycling enthusiast, you should try it.
Oh yeah,
because it's a whole different challenge, whole different dimension. You know, I mean, yeah, no, totally. You got to. If you're a mountain biker, you got to try cyclocross. You know what I mean?
Perfect. Well,
you have to.
Well, Jürgen, hey, listen, to try to be respectful for everyone's time, it's the top of the hour of Bike Chat. Folks, you're just tuning in now. This is Bike Chat 101. Tommy Crowder's going to pop in. Oh, he popped out. We are interviewing Jürgen Benecke of DaHÄNGER. Check them out at dahanger.co. They offer a truly unique racking system for your bike. Also, with me is co-host Gunnar Soros. Gunnar also is a craft beer lover and runs an awesome blab on Tuesday evenings at 9 p.m. If you're a craft beer lover, definitely encourage you guys to check that out. But most importantly, Jurgen, thank you so much for joining us on Bike Chat. It is a pleasure once again to catch up with you online, and we're glad that we were able to work out our glitches earlier on. Folks, give them some loving on social media, and again, find out on their website more about their Kickstarter program, how they got it off the ground. Be sure to watch the videos. And again, just Jurgen, it looks like these products will be available soon, where folks can expect to see.
We're hoping to starting to deliver to our Kickstarter backers within the next 2 to 3 weeks, I'd say. That's awesome. It's a must. Yeah.
There you go. Mountain Bike Geezer says, I have a Christmas present idea now. Nice.
Yeah.
And again, I want to give a shout out to our folks tuning in. This is Stephen Wilson tuning in. Oliver Cook, thank you for tuning in. Tommy Crowder, of course, Gunner. And Griff Wigley, who we just connected with. That guy's a legend. Check him out. He's got some hilarious videos. That guy is gung-ho. Folks, that is it. We are going to wrap it up. Again, same time bat channel every Thursday at 9 p.m. We do have some good things going on, so do stay tuned. In the meantime, thank you for joining us on Bike Chat with DaHÄNGER.